Elevation Station, 132 Waldoboro Road in Jefferson, Maine. We have premium medicinal cannabis and accessories to get you on track. Elevation Station, 132 Waldoboro Road in Jefferson, Maine. All aboard!
Hello and welcome once again. My name is Ken Minot. I'm the promoter and general manager of Wiscasset Speedway and the president of the Maine Vintage Race Car Association. On behalf of MVRCA and our participating sponsors, and of course Lincoln County TV, we'd like to welcome you to another edition of Vintage Racers Roundtable. It's the next installment in a series of programs that we're gather together some of the legends of Maine auto racing and share some stories and take a glance in the rearview mirror of their legendary careers. We're here at the LCTV studios today. We want to thank Larry Seidlinger and staff for hosting us for this edition. Our special guests for today's show are three more Maine Motorsports Hall of Famers who come out of central Maine, collecting hundreds of checkered flags among them, mostly at Unity Raceway, Speedway 95, and Wiscasset Speedway. My co-host once again is this man to my right here, Pete Silva. Pete is a member of the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame himself, class of 2016, and a member of the New England Auto Racing Hall of Fame class of 2018. Pete, welcome back once again.
Hi Ken, glad to be back. Glad to have the guests we got. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
And as I said, we've got a great trio of guests for you today. We'll work our way around the table here. First of all, we have multi-time champion and Maine Motorsports Hall of Famer class of 2010, Mr. Larry Pottle.
Hi.
We have a multi-time champion and Maine Motorsports Hall of Famer class of 2013 and also a member of the Wiscasset Speedway Hall of Fame and Unity Hall of Fame, Mr. Bob Halley.
Yes, glad to be here.
And finally, we have multi-time champion and Maine Motorsports Hall of Famer class of 2015, Steve Nelson. Steve, welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So let's get right to it. I mean, we kind of lofted out the first question last time we got together with some racers, and we want to know how you get a steering wheel in your hand in the first place. What got you into racing? Larry, why don't we start with you?
Well, me, I was at a friend's house, and Dennis Littlefield was his name, and they built a car. Victor Bucca was on leave from the service, and they built a car, and they raced a couple of times. He went back in the service. Dennis says, "You want a wheeler?" I said, "I don't even know which flag is which." But I'll drive her.
So you didn't have anybody in your family that had any racing experience? You were the first?
No racing at all, no.
Never done a lap before.
No. I think I'd done pretty well the first time.
Yes, I'd say so.
And I got the bug, and 30 years later, I was still racing.
Yeah. And when did you get started?
69.
Yeah.
Probably mid-season. I raced that Pontiac 2 or 3 times, and it was a big old boat. And motor valve lifters floated on it, and I built me a 56 Ford. Yeah. And I was on the road then.
Wow. Well, Bob, what got you started?
Well, my father would take us to the dirt track at Unity Raceway, and one of our favorites to watch was Pete Silva's father, George.
I remember your father and my father were great friends.
And, always had the niche to do it, so in '65 I put a car together. Wasn't much, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I raced it that season and was drafted for 2 years, so I got out of it until after service.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later on in the show here, but your career kind of went in 2 parts.
It did, 3 parts.
3, yeah. And 3
to
kind
me.
of unique parts, but they were all incredible.
Yeah, well, everyone got a little better.
Steve, how about you? Any family got you into racing?
My brother got me into it. He was racing. I think he started in '69, and I helped him. And then his wife was having a baby, so he had to go to the hospital in '71. So I drove 1 race for him, and that was it. Next year we started in '72.
Yeah. Was it the same way with all of you guys? Once you got out there, and you got hooked.
Oh, yeah.
There's no getting you out of it.
I've always wanted to ask you a question. I thought about it last week. I always think about the question Ken just asked about how everybody got started, and I'm always curious about numbers. I was thinking about you in the 62, and I thought about you being married,
Yeah.
marriage to the Robinson family,
Right.
and Albert Robinson. Is that where that came from?
No, but I didn't even know Al, but I wasn't with my wife at the time.
Okay.
I went up the tower and Joe and Lewis there.
Yeah, Big
They
Joe.
said, I asked them what number to use, and they said 62. So
Yeah.
that's how I got started that number. And then I met Audrey and found out she was Albert
Her uncle,
Robinson's
yes.
niece, and
What made me think about it, your cars were always blue in
Yeah.
62, and somewhere in Albert Robinson's, another Hall of Famer. I just said, I wonder if that all happened like that, but I guess it didn't.
no,
Where did you come up with your number?
Mine was simple, the year of the car. A 1960 Ford.
And I know where yours came from.
Yeah.
Your brother, then you added my favorite
Yeah.
number too at X.
Yep,
Yeah, 4X.
yep.
Yeah, you guys were all kind of synonymous for, some famous drivers switch car numbers, every year, but you guys, you've always been the blue 62. With the exception of your final 4 years of racing, you were always the orange 60,
Yep.
you were always the red 4X.
Well, I started out purple, then I went to blue, and in '87 I was red the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but always 4X.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Larry, you started in the hobby class?
hobby class, yes.
Yeah. That was a ferocious class.
That
for you
was
guys.
something.
I just-
we had two bunches, first half and the second half.
Yeah, I can remember, I had a late model car at the time. When they announced you guys were going out to race, we stopped doing what we were doing to go to the fence. You guys put a show on that was insane. So, and you did that for what, 2 years?
Yeah,
3 years?
2 years I think. Then we went to limited.
Okay.
I raced that till '74. I raced Pro Stock and limited 1 year.
Okay.
I raced.
I didn't know you did. I knew he did that, but I didn't know you did that.
Yeah,
So when did you hook up with Dick?
'74 when I started running Pro Stock.
And how did that happen? I mean, I know you've done very well in the limited division.
I was looking to move up, and Norris kind of was getting out, and I talked to Dick about buying this car, and he said that he didn't want to sell it, but he'd like to have me drive it, and they went from there.
Boy, that worked out
We
well.
had a great time. Yeah, he was a card.
Oh yeah, both of them were. Him and
Oh, yeah.
Donna. But you came out of nowheres in that division and kicked everybody's butt for a couple of years there. I mean,
Yeah. We're well right off.
Obviously my memory slips me. I don't remember the first few races, but I mean, did it start that strong when you started driving that car right out of the box?
The car was fast. The car was better than I was at first. Had more horsepower than I could handle. I lost it first day.
Yeah, I know you were a couple of years. You were unbeatable in that thing. You stayed in one division for a long time.
It started as novice,
Okay.
and then it went to hobbies. Yeah.
Then when did you do the late model part of it?
Well, they were really late models.
Maybe I'll-
Yeah, limited sportsman at
Yeah,
the time.
they just converted to updates.
Yeah, that was the early mid-90s you were,
Yes.
Wiscasset doing that.
When did you move up?
I stayed started out, like I said, in '72, and I stayed there until '78, and the car wasn't, the car in '78 wasn't competitive, so I decided to stay home, mow the grass.
Something we left out at the beginning of this is the total numbers here, and we started with Larry and in excess of 92 victories. Bob in excess of 82 victories. You in excess of 100 and something victories. And it isn't all in one spot. I mean, you moved it, you started in a lower division, the next division, and then the next division, and at multiple tracks. You won at every track, except for what, Beach Ridge, maybe?
Yeah, I raced there quite a bit, but
Yeah.
I never won.
And you won at multiple tracks,
Yeah.
and you won at 4
Yep.
different tracks.
Yep, yep.
But
And-
you guys were still in a period of time, much like the guys, the three guys we interviewed before,
Yes.
that you had the ability to load up and go to
Yes.
any
Yeah.
track and really didn't have to change your car
Sometimes
that much.
especially like Bangor, sometimes you'd race 5 times a week.
Yeah,
Yeah. You could race on Wednesday nights sometimes at Bangor, then
yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and
And
Sunday.
if you had, like 4th of July, you'd race, so sometimes it was 5 times a week.
So you,
How many times I raced a 100-lapper at Wiscasset in the afternoon and head for Oxford for the night race.
Yeah.
while we're on that subject, you had a weekend where you won 3 different races at 3 different tracks
Yeah.
on the same weekend.
One Bangor on Friday and Unity Saturday and Wiscasset Sunday.
Were those all open comp events?
I can't remember. I know Bangor was.
Yeah.
We won that, and Dick and Donna was all excited, and we went and bought a quick change.
Yeah. Moving on up.
We was using the old
Yeah.
Ford split housings.
Building gears. So you have a deal. Let me go back to Steve here. You won 10 championships at Unity Raceway.
Yes, I did.
Including
So-
2 in one season, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you won probably 5 in the limited division.
Yeah, I think it was like six about it, yeah.
Okay. Six,
Oh, well,
and, 6 and 4.
I was counting the hobbies as,
Well, still 6
Yeah.
and 4.
yeah.
And got you down is the Triple Crown Championship. What was that?
Well, that
Champion?
you'd accumulate points on special races, and so that's kind of like a season thing. Like we raced, similar to some of Sizzler when we raced Bangor, Unity, Wiscasset. You accumulate points.
So is that the 10th championship, or would that be considered the 11th?
That'd be the 11th.
Yeah, Jesus, that's incredible. Do you want to?
No, I was just looking here on Steve's list here, and it looks like you really hit it in the early 90s.
Yeah.
That's when you kind of hit your stride and were the dominant car there.
Because we had, and that's why I told you on the hobby class, we quit because we didn't have, we had lousy equipment at the end in '78, so I just stayed home.
Yeah.
Then in '84 we won the championship with John Hanscom's car, and then Ralph shut that class down at the end of the year, so I didn't get back till '87. And then we had, well, my best car was one that come off the rock wall that Bill Moore had. Joel Tozier put a front clip and rear clip on it, and that thing was unbeatable.
Another incredible streak that you had going. You won features in 22 different seasons,
Yep.
including 17 consecutive seasons. So I guess you were in a tie with Kyle Busch and Richard Petty until Kyle Busch won a couple weeks ago.
Actually, it was 18.
8.
What was it, 22?
Since 22.
Yeah, it was 23.
Yeah, that's pretty
Not a big
incredible.
deal.
Now, Larry, you went on a couple sprees here. 13 wins in one season, including 6 consecutive. You got 30 wins in 3 seasons, 42 wins in 6 seasons, including 12 extra money events. That's a pretty impressive streak.
I used to like to chase the 100-lappers.
Yeah.
All the big races.
So that was driving for Dick?
Probably
70, yeah.
most of it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, I know you guys had success, but when you, like I said, when you put it on paper in front of you, accumulation-wise, it's incredible.
I never kept track. I didn't have no idea how many races there were.
Bob had, we kind of hit on it a little earlier, Bob had one of the, I've been announcing at Wiscasset for 30 years, and you take a 5-year snippet of when you were running limiteds, that's 5 years of some of the most dominant racing I've seen in my time there.
Are you talking in the 90s?
Yeah,
57 top 3 events.
in 4 years.
Yeah, in 4 seasons. 74 top 5.
Wow.
You know, people like to talk about wins, but just to do that and stay that consistent, the effort and the amount of work you have to put into a car to make it be able to do that, it's incredible.
I think 23 of those podium finishes were in one season. I remember.
It was a good class.
Yeah, and it was no lay down either as far as competition. Were you racing against Ripley and Reno
Oh,
at the
yeah.
time? And
He was
Scott
the
Delano?
one to beat, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What was it that hit at that time for you guys? I know, was it Ted Monroe you were driving for, or was it your own?
No, it was Leighton.
Oh, Leighton. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. And of course, the crew chief was hands-on. I mean, it was just remarkable.
Yeah.
Going back to consecutive wins, it's my word. you guys, you had such streaks going about winning 10 or 12. What did you win, about 17 one year in that limited division?
I believe somewhere around that.
In which you didn't win, Bob won?
1 year at Hyundai,
There's only two of them.
1 year at Hyundai, Bob and I won every race but one.
Yeah.
Marty
Slipped
won.
up on that one. Huh?
Yeah, we didn't know he was leaped
Probably
out.
right.
I was going to ask how much racing you guys did head to head. I mean, obviously your careers overlapped a little bit, or quite a bit, but how much racing did you do head to head?
I raced a lot with Bob. I didn't race so much with Larry till later.
Yeah.
So your string of championships in the limited division, that was all with your own car and your own team, in your
Yes.
family?
Every one of it was mine.
Yeah. All home-built cars?
Yeah. Well, towards the end of it, some of it was Joel's stuff. Well, like I said, Bill Moore's old car was junk. It was on the stone wall and put a front clip and rear clip, and that thing was
Was that an old Howe car
It
or
was an
something?
old Howe car.
Yeah. Who did your motors back then?
early part. We did all our own stuff, but at the end of it was Butler and McMaster.
Yeah. You probably, as long as I've known you, built your own motors.
Built our own
Yeah,
everything.
every inch of it.
Yeah.
You guys built your own stuff in the
In
beginning?
the early years, yeah.
Yeah.
And then McMaster's was later on.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You mean later, but you finished up at Wiscasset in the 90s?
Well, the Unity car was McMaster's, the Camaro.
Yeah, I wasn't around then.
Yeah.
So you guys must have raced each other a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Did you always get along?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We raced hard. We bumped each other around, but
Just rub fenders a
we were
little.
always
Well,
friends.
that division had a lot of that going on. The tires were under the fenders, so
Yeah.
you could rub quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
God, they must have started 30 to 35 cars in those divisions back then.
I think it was over 40 in the hobby class.
Yeah.
Before they split them, they had like 60.
Yeah.
Gee.
How do you run successfully in a division like that, that's that competitive with that many cars, be that successful, but not come out of it with a whole bunch of enemies?
Yeah, well, you wait for the restarts. There's plenty of restarts.
What's that, to get even?
No, it was fun.
Because you guys all have the reputation of being good, clean drivers, but successful. And I've always kind of wondered, there's some people that feel like you gotta, just,
Well, you can't win it on the first lap. so-
right, right.
Good point, because
Respect,
all these
yeah, respect
stats that these
yourself.
guys have about finishing a lot of races in the front, to your point, they had to be pretty smooth and stay out of trouble and not get into personal conflicts
Well,
to do that.
Like Bob said, you wait for caution, it bunches everybody back up, and you're in business.
Then we started on the rear
You always
about every week also.
Yeah, your points
Yeah.
brought you to the rear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think today's people totally understand that when there's 30-something cars, and what'd you race for, 20 laps, 25?
You had to be making some tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if the yellow didn't come out, I think you said Marty won the only other race that year.
Yeah.
And,
Marty
and the yellow didn't come out. You actually
never
thought you
come
were
out.
leading when you got
He started on the pole, and I think he had one of your motors.
there. You slipped that in there pretty good. Bob, you won 4 races in 4 days at Unity. What kind of a deal was that?
It was hot.
What was that, like a 4th of July weekend, and they raced all
I can
weekend?
remember winning $500 one weekend between Wiscasset and Unity.
Was that some?
$500, that was a lot of money. The car had $800 in it.
Yeah, back then. Yeah, that was a late model purse, winner's
They
purse
used
back
to
then.
make money every week.
Yeah. But it says at Unity, 4 days. I mean, was it like they raced on a Saturday and had double features, and like a 4th of July on a Monday or something and had double features? Do you remember?
No.
All right, I'll stop asking you.
Maybe I
You
got
couldn't
through
ask him that
checking. I
before.
don't know.
Now, Larry, I don't know if I should ask this question, but it says right here you were the Unity Race 1972 Unity Raceway Demo Derby champion. What was that?
I won it 2 years in a row, the Demo Derby.
Demo, yeah.
Seems like sort of a conflict in saying he stayed out of trouble.
Right,
Doesn't it, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, well, I was
That's
used
where
to
you
being
learned
in
the tactics.
Used to being in a lot of cars.
You made some money, right, Larry?
Who were some of the guys that you guys looked up to when you first got into racing?
I'll have to think on that one.
Well, I always followed Al Robinson.
Yeah. I think we all did. I think when we were younger.
Yeah,
I mean,
he had
I used
the
to pedal our
reputation.
bikes to his house
And he
to
built
work on his
all
cars.
his own stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
He helped a lot of young people.
Yeah.
I mean, he helped me, he helped Stan, he helped Dick McPhail, he helped a lot of people.
he was good.
Yeah.
He was
for,
still
for his
racing.
era.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. He was a smart man. Maybe not school-wise, but as far
Right.
as that race car and the motors and stuff, he
Yeah,
was pretty
he could
good.
build his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, pile all that stuff up under the bed, then bring it out and build it.
He was still racing when I was there, Al.
Yeah. Well, he was in the 70s.
Very
He made it
end,
through the
yeah,
70s.
the very end of his
He had
career.
I think he had a diabetes problem and got too close to brush fire one day and it reacted everything or something. You probably know more about that.
I really don't. I know he had diabetes, but I don't know.
So I like some of these timelines. Bob Halley, 14 feature wins in one season. 24 feature wins in 2 seasons. And come to Larry here and 42 feature wins in 6 seasons, 30 in 3 seasons. And we got Steve here. 9 consecutive Unity Raceway Limited Sportsman features, 3 consecutive season open wins, won 2 features in a row 5 times, 45 limited sportsman wins in a few years.
Yeah, actually, to clarify, one of those things, it actually mentioned that you won 2 features in one night 5 different times.
Yeah.
We actually, my first
Is
pro,
that what that means? I guess I
Yeah,
didn't understand.
yeah.
Wow,
My-
2
that's-
wins on the same night, same
my
program.
first pro stock win was, I had 2 the same night.
Yeah.
'Cause I think Ron Benjamin spun out with like a few laps to go, and then it was a rained out feature, so, and I won the next one too.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Everything you guys did is impressive.
Like that 9 in a row, we must have won 20 with that car that year,
Yeah.
between Wiscasset and that.
Who was your toughest competition to race against?
Well, when you went to Wiscasset, Beach Ridge cars all came up.
Yeah.
All the good cars, like Larry Gelinas and all those cars came up and from Speedway 95, but usually Chuck LaChance and myself and Unity and a couple of Beach Ridge guys.
Yeah.
Won most everything like these guys used to in Unity.
Yeah, Chuck was really good for a long
Yeah.
time. There, I often thought he'd be a good candidate for the Maine Hall of Fame, to tell you the truth. He won a lot of races and some champion. Good, clean driver,
Yeah,
too.
he
I
Just went
believe.
into the Wiscasset Hall of
Yeah.
Fame this past year.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
I'm
think
glad
he's a
to
great
see that.
candidate.
Yeah.
So, Ralph didn't have his kit car when you started, in
Yeah.
Dick's car.
I think that was the first year he had this.
Really?
74.
So, I thought it was a year or 2 after. So to do what you did with that car is pretty impressive against that kit car when you put it in that perspective. Because really, you had a lot of domination going with that car for a couple years. And for Ralph to be in the mix for that kit car and for you to be able to do that, that's pretty damn impressive. You must have been happy with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time he was behind you.
I'm never happy to lose. I
Yeah.
always tried to win.
Well, you take, I was struggling along, but you had Dana Grays, you had Norris, you had Brad Joseph, Don LaVirtue, and Stan and Ralph. And the races you won in that car against that competition, that's pretty incredible, really.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand the level of competition. And that all migrated the next day or the night before to Wiscasset. No matter what you were doing, it was that same group. Pretty impressive list that you were beating. So when you started your sportsman deal,
Yep.
who was the real hot dog then?
I don't know. The Hog was pretty good.
Yeah, very
Boss
good.
Hog was pretty good because he bought everything that was fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he bought a
Anybody-
car for every one of us.
Yeah. He tried to buy mine, but he bought Larry's instead.
And Butch was good.
Yeah.
I don't know, you wasn't around then, was you, Larry? I mean, that was 88.
Oh.
You was traveling?
I don't know. I raced
Yeah.
here and there and everywhere, but it was a
But
while.
there was always-
Butch Burgess and,
There was always a
and,
lot of good cars.
and Dave Divo and I was 3 there for quite a while.
Yeah, Davo
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did it take you a while so you could beat before you got to compete with them and beat them, or did it happen right off for you?
Actually, it happened pretty quick.
good.
I mean, there was good equipment, so
Yeah. That was Moore's car then? Okay, so had a good foundation
That was
anyway.
Bill Moore's car. You know,
Yeah.
Mackey stepped away and I stepped
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had to compete against a lot of strong people. So what made you decide to move around? You just liked it?
No, I don't know. Things changed at the tracks. Unity shut down, we run Beach Ridge, and
Was that like 79, probably?
I don't remember. Yeah, somewhere along in there.
I thought they shut it down in 1979, then
Yeah.
Ralph bought it in 1980 or something and
Pro-
opened it later
probably,
in the year.
yeah.
Were you already shut down then?
Yes.
What were you doing?
I think I was laid off.
Yeah, talk about,
Yeah, there's-
and I hit on this earlier, how these two guys raced start to finish all the way through. You had like 3 distinct periods in your racing career. What caused the stop?
Well, just,
Life?
I lost my, something, I don't know.
Your mojo?
Just get out of it
Yeah.
until something else popped up.
Yeah.
So you started down there when Ken was there in 96?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That last stint, were you
They
looking
came
to
after
get back
me.
in the ride, or did
I
they
was-
come find you and say,
Yeah.
hey, would you drive for us?
Yeah.
Which was it?
Say it again?
When you came back in the 90s to run that limited, were you looking to get into a ride
No.
and pursued it, or they
No,
came to you?
They came to me, yeah. And I guess I wasn't gonna refuse. It was
It must
just
have
what I
worked.
just what I needed.
Yeah.
It must have worked out pretty well. You were the 96 Limited Sportsman Champion, the 98 Limited Sportsman Champion, and the 98 Most Popular Driver.
That was something.
Must be 2
I
Bob
didn't
Alleys.
expect that. That was, must have bribed
Yeah. Pete, this guy was one of the, and I've told him before to his face several times, he was one of the hardest people to interview.
Oh, I believe it. It's hard to talk to.
He'd win a thrilling race side by side with Darren Ripley or Scott Delano, and we're all wound up, and that's a great race. And
I get out of the car.
Bob's like, oh, how I did it, I just did it. So,
He's been like that for about 78 years.
yeah, that's all right, that's all right.
But in that time span, you also won 23 races, which is pretty impressive too. So you won at multiple tracks too.
Yeah.
Did you
Even
guys have a favorite track that you like to race on?
Wiscasset has to be because of the speed.
Yeah.
You hooked up easier there, handling wise.
Yeah. How about you?
But I guess Wiscasset would have to be my
You
favorite
could do
place to
you could
race
do
at.
more.
Yeah.
You could more lanes to.
Oh,
to
yeah, you
run.
got more room.
More room.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way
I
around
like-
the track.
I like the
Not
speed.
that you run the wall.
Now, obviously, the two of you, actually all 3 of you, found more success at a track like Unity, but you liked racing on Wiscasset.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was easy because everybody started at Unity, so you stayed there for a while, I think,
Yeah.
while you were kind of getting the hang of it. And
But we all lived right close by,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. How about you, Steve?
I like Unity better because you could run 2 wide all the time.
Yeah.
You could run inside or outside. It struggles at Wiscasset on the outside, so.
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
the
you gotta be
push-
really-
gets
you
the
gotta be
pushing
really
pretty
hooked up.
easy.
Yeah.
You are right. The early Unity track before Ralph kept trying to do things
Yeah.
to it and change it, or
Yeah.
thought he was at least felt he was improving it. The old track, you could get up on the outside, couldn't you? Pretty
Yeah,
good.
you could get a
Yeah.
good run off the corners and,
Yeah. You liked the outside, didn't you?
Yeah, that's where you had to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That damn Ford of yours was so fast it didn't make any difference where it was. Handled down the straightaway very well.
Yeah.
I love coming off number 2 corner up high at Unity.
Yeah.
You get side the guy going in, and when you come off, you could really come off that high side the 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you made the moves.
Yeah, if you could
probably.
get position going in and through the
Yeah.
middle, yeah, you get a
Yeah.
hell of a run off there.
and they couldn't get onto it. They had to, you could pinch them down and.
Yes.
That's right. So when you stopped driving for Dick and Donner, I mean, did they just stop racing and you went on your own?
Yeah, more or less,
Yeah.
I guess I went and built another car, and I guess we never really actually quit, we just kind of stopped.
Well, it was getting expensive, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think racing changed a lot when the kit car came along. Everybody's, and then Bob started having those. I think you won Was that the only year the track was NASCAR when you won the championship?
Yeah.
And I think that year we used to have a lot of those big races, and people would come from the Dragons would come and Dion. And,
we had a lot of them.
yeah.
Buddy Bacon, Bobby Allison, and
So
a lot of them guys.
Oh, yeah.
raced there.
But everybody started buying more expensive stuff, trying to keep up, and it just
Yeah.
finally got out of hand, I think, by the...
Yeah.
That's actually something I wanted to hit on. I'm glad you brought that up, because you guys, the previous three guys we had, they kind of were the early, build junkyard cars, and they were able to succeed with those. You guys kind of rode that transition from junkyard bombers
Exactly.
into shop-built race cars,
I never-
purpose-built race cars.
I build all my own stuff right
Yeah.
till I get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you build any tubular front clips, or did you always just use the
I
stock?
used the stock ones.
Still the same rear steer type stuff, or did you
I changed the front steer and put rack and
rack and pinion, just moved
Yeah.
it? Is it still strut rod stuff?
Yeah.
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 Good. Nice. You never bought any of that. All your stuff was homemade over the
Yeah,
years.
in the early, but I had a distant at Wiscasset, the one that.
You drove for the other
96,
people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
had a distant.
The Camaro you still got of your own. What is that?
That was just homemade.
Yeah. When did you go to Joel's? Start going to Joel's?
I would say 87.
So that was probably similar to what Stan had, Camaro front snout stuff. Did you
Yep.
ever buy any of the Port City stuff? Were you still racing then when he was at Port
Didn't
City
do
deal?
Port City until, like in the 90s.
Did you use any of those?
Fort City?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you like it?
That's what I got one in the garage right now.
Yeah, nice.
I still got it.
Good. Yeah, he had some pretty good cars.
I actually went out to Port City and got my frame
Did you?
because I wanted to see the place, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was on that deal for a while. I knew Harley pretty well.
Yeah.
Then it just got out of hand, I guess. And here we all sit now.
They get out of hand, that's why I got out of it.
Yeah. You guys certainly all had successful careers, and when I was racing around you and against you, I knew you guys all did well. But until Ken Lane took the time to put it on paper in front of one person, in front of a person to read, it's like overwhelming, the success all three of you had.
Any of you guys have any regrets, any races you'd like to have back, or opportunities if you had played it a different way, would have come out different?
I had a chance to drive a car that Meserve had built with the Dyers, remember?
Yeah, Tommy Dyer.
They got out of that, and I was all set to go in that car,
That was at Fairlane, probably.
that Valley,
Yeah.
and because I was hot in the limiteds, but it just never went through. We had, they had other problems.
Yeah, that was early on. That might have changed your
But
whole
if I-
career.
yeah, if I'd
That
have got
was-
into that, I would have been a.
So he was back from the south. He hadn't built his Chevelle yet. He was still running a Ford and hooked up with the Dyers, and they built that as an open comp car. I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
We
That might have
shared the
changed
same garage. It was that Dyer's
China
garage.
Road. on the China Road where the well drilling place was.
No, it was at Ralph's well drilling garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ralph,
that
his son was
I got
Tommy, I'm
some-
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. That might have changed your career.
Yeah, but that car ended up with Larry Cates, ended up with that car. Barry Lyons bought it. Didn't do, sold it to Cates.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, he won with it.
Yeah, when it was realistic racing, I think, when they changed
Yeah,
the rules a little
yeah.
bit. You had to have a
Really?
factory part number on the motor, any motor parts. You never went anywheres other than, you didn't do any act racing or NASCAR North or any of that stuff?
When was it? Monadnock and up by Quebec. We went up there.
For an act race?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Did you
He
like
went
it?
up there.
Yeah, I loved it.
But I know.
Loved
Yeah, I
it.
won a bush race.
They
yeah.
treated you really well up there. I mean, the people was really nice.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I know you built a car to go do that and just decided you didn't want to spend the money, and that's understandable. Is that what happened there, basically?
I never had time to travel.
Yeah, well, that makes sense too. I know you worked a lot.
Well, construction.
I remember that
Yeah.
car. It was a pretty nice car you built to go do that with. Did you end up racing that at Unity?
Well, I had an open car and a Saturday night car for a while,
The open car was a car you built to go do that with?
Well, I raced it at Oxford and
Yeah.
in the Opens.
Okay, that makes sense.
When we was realistic racing, we weren't really competitive with them guys, you know, with the Open class.
Yeah, that was a tough deal. You know, they came in already acclimated with that level of racing, and that's what they did every day. That we had to kind of try to step up every time they showed up to try to race with them, and it just was a burden.
Now, when I threw out that question, I saw you thinking real hard, Steve. Did you come up with anything that?
Oh, you're talking about something that got away?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually pretty happy the way things
Satisfied.
went. I mean, Bill Moore gave me the chance to drive Pro Stock, and when we parted ways, then I built my own. I would have never done that before, probably, but I knew I could do it, so we did it.
Your confidence was up, and you
Yep.
understood it a lot
Yep.
better. That probably made that a real easy thing for you to do.
Yep. Before that, probably wouldn't have done it.
Larry, you were just used to building everything anyways.
Yeah.
You just kept building.
Just kept building.
Yeah. You probably had the most famous 57 or 58 Ford around for a long time.
57.8 I called it.
Yeah. That car won a lot of races at a lot of places.
Yeah.
He dominated for a while with that 1 year, 2 maybe. Like I said, you guys had great careers.
You guys feel like you could race still today if the opportunity was there?
That's
At one time, but I think it's getting
The question would be, if somebody offers you the chance, would you try it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How do you know when it's time to hang it up?
you don't. I don't think you do.
I hung it up because it got too expensive when they went to lightweight cranks and titanium, everything. When you don't have big time sponsors, you just can't afford that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changed quick. It
did.
did that for me. I'd won a championship 1 year at Hickory, and they laid off a couple thousand people in Mooresville, and they all trickled down to the families that had money to go Saturday night racing. I went from running in the front to having my tongue hung out just to run 5th or 6th. And the
That's
cup teams started sending development teams, and it's just like,
That's not fun. If you can't run to the front, it's not
you
fun.
can't keep up with it. If you don't have that connection, you don't have that knowledge.
Well, I was just telling Pete the other day that the best I was running in Long John, my last race was Long John, and I was running really good, but Johnny Clark was beside me. I couldn't touch him. You know, he had better motor than I had. I was handling good. I just couldn't. He'd pull me out of the corners like nothing.
Yeah, I think at that point everybody's out buying professional motors
Yeah.
and professional chassis, and probably got access to a lot of knowledge.
And that was the last race. I parked it.
Yeah, that probably wasn't a good feeling, I'm sure.
Still in the garage.
Yeah,
It's on forecasters in the garage. Rolled it into the corner. And,
waiting for the comeback tour.
well, it stayed in the the trailer for 12 years. Kevin wanted his trailer back, so we took it out of the trailer and shoved it in the garage.
Yeah.
So all three of you still got a car that you raced years ago with and won.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you had that flash of success at Wiscasset, and you said I'm good?
Yeah. It's time to go.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Larry?
I raced Wiscasset in '99.
Yeah, your last win was at Wiscasset.
Yeah,
I
my
see.
last one was down there. And we went all right, but I never really got the
Yeah, we was just as excited for you as anybody.
never really got the
Yeah.
car right. I'd spin halfway down the straightaway, my right rear.
Something interesting about Larry's career, that only driver to qualify for all the first 250 races, 74 to 79. July 1979, won the feature at Oxford, and it was the last win for a Ford for over 7 years.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's something.
Pretty impressive. Back in those days, it was hard to qualify for the 250. There were so many cars coming from the south in Canada.
It was difficult.
Just to say you did that all those years in a row was pretty impressive. Did you ever go try to run the 250?
I did. I ran it.
You like it?
I put a 2-barrel on it and I could qualify, but I couldn't with a 4-barrel because it'd spin all the
Yeah.
time.
Spin all the way down the
Yeah.
straightaway.
So you put 2-barrel on it, killed the horsepower so it handled better.
Yeah.
I didn't really ever go good at Oxford until I'd raced at Asheville. And I went down there and had the same problem you two guys were talking about. I was sideways smoking the tires, and I can remember I backed off. My neck got hurt, and got like a pinched nerve, and I backed off and started going faster. And I was talking to the Jackson brothers that owned the Skoll Bandit, after the race, they had a car down there, Harry drove, and they said it had a 4-barrel and unhooked 2 barrels. That did more for me, back to your point,
Yep.
than anything else I'd ever tried in my life. We're always wanting
Too
more
much,
power, and all we
yeah.
do is overpower everything we're trying to do
Instead of
on
being
some tracks.
instead of being smooth, you was
Yes.
just sideways.
Smoking the tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Did
happened.
it cost you on the straightaways? there?
No, not really. Like Pete said, I think you're faster
Yeah.
because you don't have to let off so much
You're
in the
going through the
corner.
corners so much faster, you got
Yeah.
your momentum going.
Yeah.
One of them last races, one race at Wiscasset, I was leading by quite a bit, and I backed off pretty early getting in the corner. And,
You backed off.
yeah. Dickie,
I don't think I ever saw
my
that.
pit man Dickie, he said, "Boy, you really made some time them last 2 laps." I said, "I was trying to take it easy. Well, I was actually going faster."
Yeah. I tried to make the 251.
I was getting ready to ask
in
you.
a limited conversion, and with Edsel Flam, you know that name, yeah. They had big expectation getting me as a driver, but we just didn't work out.
Overmatched.
Yeah,
Yeah.
overmatched.
Yeah.
That's an expensive
But he had
venture.
fun.
When you're
Ed-
buying 8 tires and they're buying 32 tires, and so you got to make your 8 last all weekend, and
Yeah.
they just keep throwing 4 on and 4 on and 4 on, and
I know we're getting ready to wind down here, but Cushman invited me to the 250 3 years ago. I hadn't been since '91. And I said, "How many tires you buying?" He said, "They're only letting us buy 24 tires." $187 a piece.
I just remember like Stan would have 32, Ralph would have 32, all those big name guys, and
Oh, yeah.
they'd match up the best 4, and you practice on 4, and you got
They'd have
4
8
for
or
the
10
feature.
sets. You're
Yep.
talking 30 to 40 tires.
We'd have 2.
So one question I wanted to ask you guys is, obviously we've got the stats here, we have all the information. That obviously culminated into each of you guys being inducted into the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame. Take us back to when you were bestowed that honor. How did it feel? Did you have family in the room with you? And-
Yeah, my pit crew. I had three guys with me, and my wife, and my son.
How did that feel to have it come full circle to get that
I
recognition?
was always like a fish out of water when you got around a lot of people.
Yeah, had to get up there and tell everyone what it was like. Huh?
Yeah, my speech was pretty short.
I imagine
I
yours
can
was
resent
too.
to that.
How about you? What was that
Well,
like?
it came later, I think. At the time, it was a shock, maybe more than anything, and then I dwelled on it a little, and it was proudly enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I believe I was there for the night you were inducted.
Dick Bergman there, and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of big names.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say,
It's pretty, I mean, we had quite a few people there, my whole pit crew, and I think there must have been 50 of us there.
Yeah,
It's a big moment, and I think looking back, it's really, it's for everything you accomplished as drivers, but what a validation for all the people that supported you,
Right.
for your family, your sponsors. That moment makes every bit of it worthwhile, where they stood there with you forever through the highs and lows. That's how I looked at it anyways.
Yeah.
Thought it was a great moment for that.
Who were some of the people that were instrumental in helping carry you through your career?
I had 3 guys worked on my crew that was with me most of the time. They was all machinists,
Yeah.
so that helped.
Those motors.
Yeah.
And that's,
Built rockets.
Yeah.
yeah, really, I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, those successful years you had a group of people that could do anything,
Right.
had knowledge to do it, so that makes a big difference.
Like with me, I had my father, my brother, and my brother-in-law was with me the whole 30 years, so.
I always remember your father and your brother-in-law there every week. I mean, your
Oh,
whole
yeah.
family, but your father always said hello to everybody, spent time to socialize.
Yeah, he was
I
the
really
PR
liked him.
guy. He could talk to anybody.
And I don't believe in those days you went anywhere without Fleury, Larry Fleury.
Yeah,
did you?
Larry Fleury was big partners, and
Yeah.
you know. And of course, later years was John Layton. Matt Moore was the wrench man, and smart, dedicated.
Yeah.
Larry, you had one guy with you, a stocky guy there. I see him in a lot of pictures when you had the Cougar.
Dickie?
Is that his name, Dickie?
Yep.
He was with you for
Alexander.
a long time.
Yeah.
Alexander,
Yeah.
Through the successful years there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, when you dominated that time.
Oh,
that
yeah.
era.
Yeah, he was. He was real devoted.
Yeah, he certainly was.
Yeah.
Anytime that car was anywheres, whether it was going to the tech shed or Victory Lane, he was standing next to it.
Well, I think we was the first ones in Hyundai anyway to ever use disc brakes. Dickie's father talked me into
Really?
doing. Yeah,
I always thought the kit car was, but that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
yeah. We made him on his lathe over to Dickie's house.
Boy, that must have made a big difference.
I only raced drum brakes one year, and then I went disc
I
brakes.
don't ever remember Larry using brakes. He used the car in front of him.
Yeah, use the back bumper. Of the
If we
guy.
talk long enough, the truth will come out, won't it? Yeah.
This is what we were hoping to get out of this.
Action.
I remember Larry telling me that one night. He nailed me pretty good in the back. Said, my brakes weren't working very good. But obviously mine was. I was slowing him down.
Do you guys follow racing today on the local level?
I do. I don't go as much as I should, but I still follow it.
Any particular drivers stand out that kind
I
of
don't know.
impress you these days? Or?
I still follow Johnny Clark, and I know he's not local, but and I come down to your big shows.
Yeah, we just get ready to say that. All three of them show up at Summerfest every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate that.
I go to Wiscasset.
Yeah.
Half a dozen times at least
Yeah,
a season.
yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
Clark
think about?
stands out. He's,
Yeah.
You know, he started in street stocks, and you watched him grow and grow.
Who's that?
Johnny Clark.
Johnny Clark.
His
Oh,
very
yeah.
Yeah.
first pro stock win was that Boss Hog 150 where he
And he's doing well in
he beat Stan Reserve.
Pastor,
for
yeah.
at
That's a
18
hell of
years
a
old
win and quite a guy to
get
beat
your
your first
win.
time. Yeah.
And you guys do a great job at Wiscasset.
Thank you. What do you think about the changes to the place?
It's awesome. You know, it just keeps, I'm just talking to Pete, it just keeps getting better and better. It's just nice and clean, you know, everything is, you just keep doing more and more, and it's just great.
Yeah, I tell everybody it's one of the few tracks you'll ever see that every spring when you show up, you'll see where the money you paid to get to watch the races went. Every year you guys have an improvement, whether it's
You don't take
Victory
it,
Lane, the
you don't-
wall.
You don't take it all away, you invest in
Yeah,
the
Yeah, that's a
product.
rarity today.
get a look at those new garages this season.
I haven't seen that, I've heard it.
Yeah.
That's incredible for a Saturday night racetrack. That's
Is there anybody you guys watch these days that, I know you said Johnny, anybody stand out?
It's gotta be a Ford guy.
Yeah,
No, well, I like AJ, the
Yeah,
99
the
Pickard.
card kid.
that little kid.
Well,
Oh, not
Yeah.
who's the 12-year-old?
Ashline.
Yeah, Ben Ashline drives the
Ashline's
Picard
driving
car.
his car, and they do a good job.
They do,
'Cause
they
I-
do. Actually, I enjoy watching him race.
He can put her on the outside and
Oh,
keep
yeah.
her there.
When everybody else can't go out there, he can go.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
In the big races, he seems to step it up.
yeah.
The Sinclairs. They do a good job at Wiscasset.
Yeah, Josh is definitely
Yeah,
coming to
that's
his
fun to
own.
watch.
And your old buddy Hogg is still going.
Oh yeah,
You'll probably see him in the Coastal 200 again this year.
yeah.
Then someone will tell Sandra and he'll be in trouble again.
Yeah, he qualified right up front, right? Pretty close to the front.
Yeah. No, this has been great. We're getting close to wrapping things up, and Pete, chime in if you have any other things you want to ask. But
No, I've known these guys for a long time, and like I said, I knew they all did well. Until I saw this, I was just blown away. I'm glad you guys came here and took the time. I didn't know if you would be willing to do it. As you all said, you don't like to talk a lot in public, but
Don't, but it's been fun.
you guys have all done a fine job, but your careers are overwhelming, really. I think anybody that raced would be happy with any one of these resumes.
now, unlike the other guys who kind of had family in the game already, I know you already did, but once you got into racing, what was it that kept you there? Was it just the need to drive fast? Was it the friendships you made? What was the overall reason that you had to be in a race car or at the racetrack?
Winning.
For all those
What's
years.
that?
Winning. Every one of you guys
Everybody-
won a lot.
yeah,
Made it easy to come back.
Just wanted the drive, you know what I mean, to do better, so.
Yeah,
The competition really was a lot to do with it.
yeah.
You had a certain guy you wanted to beat more than another.
That's right.
Who was that?
Yeah,
Well, we both won at the same time, so.
yeah. We had,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, somebody talked you into just jumping in the car one day, and what made you need to keep coming back all those years?
Addiction.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved the
really is.
competition.
It's an addiction, yeah.
That's a key word. You know, people think that's crazy, but if you've been fortunate enough, and every one of you have been, to win some races, you're toast
You're
by
hooked.
then.
You're hooked.
Yeah, you're coming back. You're addicted.
And just like Bob said, if somebody's beating you, you want
Oh, yeah.
to, yeah, you just,
right. Work on the
it
car a
cranks
little
up a little
harder.
more, you know, ratchets up the,
Put better heads on the car.
Something. You got to do something.
I think
Yeah,
there's a mismessage in there somewhere, as you know.
In Sumner McCain's documentary that you were in, you kind of hit on that. You win, you're done.
Yeah.
There was a few other words you put in there that got beeped out.
Well, when we raced, you know, it's more like down in the trenches. There was a little bit hell bent for leather, and everybody was wanting to take your space, and you weren't willing to give it up. You kept coming back to make sure they didn't get it, you know.
Yeah.
But it was
if you won last week, you want to win this week, so.
yeah. You always want to put it together, back to back or more.
Yeah.
Everybody here did that. Yeah, I don't think people understand the commitment and the effort it takes to have the longevity the three of you had with the success you have. I don't think people really understand that.
The dedication, like Larry said, when Larry was going these big races, like we went to Spud, won driveway to Spud,
Yeah, I remember
and
those
we won
days.
on I think it was
Friday night, probably.
Friday night, I think, and then you drive all the way home, and then we raced 100 lap at Bangor the next day. So you don't get much sleep, and
No.
nobody.
I remember
does.
that day. You used to
Loved
race
every
at,
minute of it.
Bob Knowles used to do that to us at Unity. Race Unity, then head to Spud.
Yeah.
Race, you didn't even get to go home and go to bed. You
Did
just-
you have nights where you've torn up pretty good and had
Oh,
to
yeah,
work
then-
all night to get
oh,
it
yeah,
ready for the
then
next one?
Then the neighbors was upset because you fire it up about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning
be sure to run.
after you lose the engine and have put something else in, and you wake the neighbors up, and then the phone's ringing, and
Yeah, we were all in neighborhoods back then.
But it's dedication, and when you bring that car home, you gotta work on it. You don't let it sit
Yeah.
there till.
I can remember somebody
The
said to me
crews-
one day,
the
"What do you
crews
do?"
are right there
And I
with
said,
you.
"Well, I race." And they said, "No. What do you do for a living?" I said, "No, I race." And they said, "No, you don't. What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'll tell you what. Where do you work?" He told me, and I said, "How many hours do you work a day there?" They said, 8. I said, "I'll swap with you."
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing it all the time, like when you really got going, 12 hours a day wouldn't do it.
yeah.
Well, Morris Young is a guy who's had a lot of success
Oh,
in
yeah,
Wiscasset.
he was really, he done really
Seven-time
well.
champ, and I remember one thing he told a driver who was complaining, "Why do you win all the time?" He's like, "I win because of the work I put
Yeah.
in on the weekday, not because of how I do on Saturday. I win because of the work I put in
Yeah.
getting
That makes
ready to
sense.
come here."
The stall, remember stall headers back in the day?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember what that used to say on the box on the back side of it?
No, I don't.
Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. We could just say winning is where preparation meets opportunity. And the work you guys are talking about, the amount of work.
And I would say a lot of the fun was in the garage during the week.
Yeah.
'Cause we always had a lot of people show up, and we always had a good time during the week, and then it shows up at the track.
Yeah, I think that's one thing all 4 of us had in common. We had a lot of people that supported us, helped us through the years. We probably didn't feel rich in money, but now looking back, we were wealthy in people, I think, that believed in us and supported us all.
I got a little story. My next door neighbor wouldn't let her kids come play at our house because she thought it was drug dealers because so many people was coming up to help on the race car.
With suspicious looks on their faces, yes.
They're coming and going, you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good transition to kind of wrapping things up here. I want to give you guys an opportunity, if you haven't had the chance to thank anybody that helped you through your career, to help with that sustained longevity, whether it's family or an important crew member or two. Here's your chance to thank them again.
Yeah, well, definitely got to thank my wife for putting up and cooking for all of us, and my crew members, Dickie Alexander, Larry Labway, John McKenney. They was invaluable.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
My grandson told me at the Hall of Fame, "Don't forget to thank your wife." And I didn't forget. That's it.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
it'd be my wife and my 3 boys, and plus my brother-in-law, which was with me forever, and Kevin Key. You know, none of us would be here without those people.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, that's for sure. I've had more than I deserve from friends, relatives, sponsors. Like I said, you look back, you think you're struggling, and you really had it pretty good, really.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yep.
And we've all had enough success that we were lucky. And like you said earlier, we raced at a good time, or you said it.
Yeah.
We raced at the right time.
When my kids was racing bikes at the track, put the big sprockets on them, they kicked everybody's butt.
Even competition there. That's right. Yeah, that's great. Well, I want to thank you guys for giving up part of your day to come here and do this. This has been
thanks for having
absolutely
us.
awesome. Yeah, some good stories and a chance to, as I said, kind of look back in the rearview mirror of some great careers and hopefully, you know, brought some new things to light people might not have known about you. So I appreciate the time that you've given us today. I wanted to mention to folks that if you want to find out more about the Maine Vintage Race Car Association and our mission to help preserve and present the history of auto racing in Maine, we encourage you to go to our website. It's mainvintagerace.org, or you can find us on our Facebook page as well. I want to thank Pete once again for giving us the time and dipping into all these stories and all these stats.
Thank you, and thank you guys. I had a blast.
I had fun.
Want to thank again Larry Seidlinger and the crew here from Lincoln County TV. Be on the lookout for another show. We're going to try to throw together another couple of shows here for you this spring and get this thing kicked off. But we really appreciate your support of Maine Vintage Race Car Association. We want to thank our club historian, Ken Lane, for all the work he did to put these stats together. Vanessa Jordan from Wiscasset Speedway for providing lunch and helping to give this whole operation a push to get started. So again, thank you guys all very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having us.
And thank you guys very much. We'll see you next time on Vintage Racers Roundtable.
Elevation Station, 132 Waldoboro Road in Jefferson, Maine. We have premium medicinal cannabis and accessories to get you on track. Elevation Station, 132 Waldoboro Road in Jefferson, Maine. All aboard!